I'd like to welcome you to the Yreka Communications Ad Hoc Committee meeting for today, which is August 29th. And thank you for bearing with us while we were working out some technical difficulties. And I would ask that you would rise if you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you all for being here today. As I have mentioned in the past, this ad hoc committee meeting is a lot less formal than a city council meeting. We welcome input from the people who are here. I just would ask that when you give your input, if you would just use the microphone and give your name, because the meeting is being recorded. So I'm going to open it up now for public comment, and I'm going to waive the reading of all the guidelines, but opening up for public comment if you have any. Okay, there's no public comment, so we're going to go to item number 3, which is a special presentation. And this is Dave McAdams from Siskiyou Media Council.
Yes, how are you today?
We're great.
Great, super. So you can hear me well?
Yeah,
Yes.
Dave, we can hear you very well.
Okay, great. So I am the executive director for Siskiyou Media Council. A little history on me. I'm a retired United States Air Force veteran of 22 years, and I've been doing film work since about 2010. I've done different types of documentaries and corporate type films. And I've also been working with Siskiyou Media Council since 2018. I've helped do many recordings for the college and other, working with them in the technical side of the house, making sure the servers and everything stay up. So I've had an opportunity in October of 2022 to step forward and become the executive director, because we had this decision. We were making the decision on whether if SMC was going to hang around or was going to stay in. And I said, we've been working too hard over too many years, especially during COVID, to let this thing pass on. So what I did, we picked it up in 2010, or excuse me, October 2022. And for the last 10 months, I've been working really diligently to get this thing back on its feet. One of the great things we've done is we moved on to the Siskiyou, College of the Siskiyou's Yreka campus. We're in building 4, room 4. So we have a new location where we do our business from. We have some great board members. One of them is Jason. We have Tim Rundle from Weed. We have Patricia Lord from the Siskiyou County Arts Council. And we also have Sheriff LaRue on the board, and we have Rennie Cleland. So we've got a very robust board right now, and we're doing really great for there. One of the great things is that at the beginning of the year, we applied for 2 grants. One was the Ford Family Foundation Good Neighbor Grant, and the second was the North State Wildfire Recovery Fund from the Community Foundation of the North State. We were awarded both grants that we requested for funding, and we received brand new equipment to replace the 2012 broadcast servers, which were extremely out of date and no longer supported by Telview. In June, we picked up the units. We were able to purchase them. We've been working diligently to get them installed, and last week we finally got them up online. So both new Hypercasters are now broadcasting, one from the head end at the Yreka Vive location, and the other one we've taken out of the College of the Siskiyou and put it back into the Mount Shasta Vive head end. So Vive now has a direct access to these, and we've got brand new connections to them. Not only that, but we also added another unit to the system, which is called InfoView, which is basically a very robust community bulletin board. It's more like, instead of having just the plain text and some bad music over the background, this actually has more of the Bloomberg or CNN look, where it has stickers on the bottom, news on one side, video, different things rotating through, so we can basically schedule a more informative system for the county. What was different? What's different between the old system and the new systems? Well, the old B100s, like I said, were 12 years old, no longer supported. They only did cable. We only had one feed out to the internet, or excuse me, to our website, so you could see it on the web. And there was no ability to do live recordings anymore. That's just that stuff had the protocols were so out of whack that nobody could actually use them anymore. With the new broadcast servers, we're now still back on cable. Not a lot of people watch that. So what we were also looking at is we also has built in a web presence like we've had before. But the great thing is now that this server has the ability to also go out to the social media like YouTube or Facebook. And it has the ability to go to what they call OTT, or over the top systems, basically Roku, Fire Stick, and let's see, what's the other one? Fire Stick and Apple TV. So we bought those services. We're now moving into the realm of getting all the metadata for the system, for the shows that are on the server, and any new content comes in, we'll be able to populate it with metadata. And then people should be able to see these things not only on cable, but on their, like I said, Roku or those apps. Those apps will be free. One of the great things about these two new units is that the servers actually bring in live events over the internet. So the Zoom meeting that we're seeing today, as we move forward with these new units, we were able to take your Zoom feed and bring it onto the servers and across the internet and across the over-the-top systems, OTT systems. So you have more of a area for people to watch them from. So they don't have to watch them from their computer anymore. They can watch them from their television set. We're also, like I said, we can bring in almost any live feed that has the right protocol system, and we're able to send that live feed out to multiple locations at one time. So that's the great thing about that. The other thing is that it also has emergency notification console, and we're working with the Sheriff's Department and OES to come up with protocols so that people can actually, so that the local emergency cities, most emergency locations can log in, and they can send information across those channels to tell people where to find things or to, tune in. And like I said, we're also working on bringing those live briefings from the Sheriff's Department and from OES. We want to bring those in across the channels and across the internet and across the OTT systems. So that's it for the B100s of the broadcast system. The InfoView is like I said, a digital signage system. It has tickers, weather, road conditions, news feeds, city messaging, school information, emergency information, and short videos that we can play across that. And it gives you a lot of flexibility for that to even the local organizations like Yreka can actually, Yreka City or the police department or the school systems, if they want to participate, they can log into the systems and add content to the InfoView system, and we can schedule it on there so that it actually will play out on on the broadcast, or that's not the broadcast server, but on the InfoView server. And we're working to develop it to be a 24/7 messaging board so that you'd be able to go out to the internet and see it, log into the website, or not log in, but basically go to the website, and you would be able to see the information that you need to see, like for school information or road conditions or whatever, as we work this system out over the next few months. So that's great that we've got these great new equipment. It's that we're now on the college, but the question is, okay, what does that mean for Yreka? What we're doing for Yreka, or what we're doing for all the cities, but especially for this meeting, is that we know that you're trying to develop to be able to communicate more effectively with the citizens of Yreka. So we're looking at trying to find ways to help you create informational videos. I did have a video to bring up for you. We can't see that today, but I know that Jason has seen it. He likes the format, and this is something that we are able to do, to bring those things like informational videos like how to do permits or status updates on in-process projects and future projects, things like that. We're also working on developing a cadre of COS students that are interested in helping with doing video projects that maybe we'll be able to come in and help do the city meetings for, help Retta get off of that, having to do that while she can do her programming. We can help do that and get that program live onto our server and be able to show that to more locations. One of the great things I forgot to mention, one of the great things about bringing that Zoom meeting onto the server is that it also automatically records it at the same time. And then we can also automatically schedule it for playback at future dates during the next couple of weeks before your next meeting. So people who have missed it can actually get to it. We're working on also trying to figure out how to take your, right now that I think the Zoom meeting has that Retta's got it set up so that you can have closed captioning. And we're looking on how to marry those two files up because it actually are two separate files. If we can figure out how to marry those two files up, then you'll have closed captioning on your meetings so that people can actually see that as well. That's really most of the stuff that I've had on what we're doing and who we are. And the question is, I kind of open it up to back to the group to have, if they have any questions that they see, or if I said anything that maybe spurred some, maybe a question or something that you would like to do in the future.
Staff have any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Baker. This is Jason Ledbetter. I just wanted to point out some of the highlights from what Dave mentioned. For me, are live streaming our council meetings, possibility of having COS students actually take on that responsibility here in-house rather than the clerk, who obviously is also the assistant city manager. So the app I think is really cool. Siskiyou Media Council app that you would be downloading really onto either your Fire Stick or your phone to stay up to date with all the information. I think Siskiyou Media Council, as you can hear from Dave, is trying to fill that void that currently exists in communicating with the public here, and I think is taking the perspective of emergency information very seriously. And then finally, it's disappointing we won't be able to see it, but we can certainly I can show you the video. I can email it out to this group. But Dave did a really excellent video that's about 3 to 5 minutes long that had to do with citing a grocery store in a community, and really just the education to the community and talking to key players in the community, and really falls in line with, I think, what we've been discussing here. And I'll kick it back to Dave. We're going to have roughly 7 or 8 more of these meetings, and we're doing them monthly. So we still are just taking our time developing really like a white paper, a dream list of ideas that we would move forward on, slowly implementing things now that we can. But one of our major goals is what you've already mentioned, Dave, these vignette 90-second videos. And I'd say, that's my highest desire. I think we can completely revamp our communication with the public. We can completely revamp our website with these videos. We'll leave it on that topic and kick it back to Dave with, I mean, how do you think that that'll be a successful venture for Siskiyou Media Council to take on? And is that something that we are kind of tied into how robust it is at COS with the students, or how do you see it kind of moving forward with possibly providing that service?
Well, it's a great question. What I'm looking at, and I'm doing the same thing with Siskiyou Media Council that you're doing with this committee, is that you're going at it slow. You're trying to build a foundation, because a strong foundation means it's going to be sustainable. We're still in the planning phase with COS, not only COS, but with the K through 12 school system. There's a Bright Nickelstock who runs that program for the high schools. We're working with her. We're working with Veronica Coots, which is non-credited courses at COS. We're also working with, I think it's Shannon from the Adult Outreach Program for adult education. So we've got these 3 individuals or 4 individuals that we're trying to set up some type of broadcast career pathway that not only does it train individuals on doing broadcast, and but we're also trying to also at that same time is finding basically paying gigs for these individuals, to create jobs within the county. So if we're successful in this, that means that we actually will have a group of individuals that will be able to do live events for all the cities, or the 4 major cities that we're looking at right now. If we have other individuals within the county, they're more than welcome to, ask for our help as well. But we're looking for ways to not only train individuals, but to create jobs. To do the actual shows, I mean, I looked through the internet. I tried to find through the internet to find videos that showed like how to do a permit for a city. And I will tell you, there are few and far between, and the production value is not very good. So it's really not that difficult if we can get a group, a handful of people to do this. It doesn't take much to put on a production. We just make sure that we have a good message. We have a good sound, and we have good graphics. When you have that, you're in pretty good shape of being able to make that happen. Of course, everything out of your gate for the first couple of times, it's going to be a little rough, but usually once you get your format set up and you have what you're looking for, your beginning, middle, and end, you're in pretty great shape for that. So it is a great possibility to create that. There are already individuals within the county that can create videos. You've got some that are artists that they don't want to do anything but just do documentaries or something like that. So those individuals are out, but there's other individuals that I know within Siskiyou County that can do the videos that you're asking to do. And I know that we can get with the studio that we have at our disposal, with the equipment that we currently have on hand, for sound, for the video cameras, I think we can make that work. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dave. I mean, I think that would be everybody's dream scenario, is to have a contract with SMC that then distributed the money right back into the pockets of somebody that needed a job in Siskiyou County. So just so you're aware, that's kind of our timeline, 7 to 8 months, where we would be hopefully then contracting with SMC, and we'll stay in touch with you. But I don't know if there's any other, I'll kick it over to any other questions people may have.
Emily, do you have any questions?
These videos, I'm just curious, just keeping in mind, we're trying to build these forms.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like an option, like a video of like somebody just, this is how it fills out?
Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you. We normally have these meetings when our employees have gone home for the day. So we have some extra employees here. So yeah, we've talked about in these meetings, in the most perfect world, Matt attended a meeting in the past, and I'm not sure if he showed it, but he showed me, he may have shown this group, Measure C, and some voiceover that Matt did, kind of explaining to people what the current condition at that point of the pavement in town was versus what an influx of money could possibly do. And so it wasn't just an interview with Matt's face. It was like these historical images and this beautiful voiceover of Mr. Bray talking about the history of the town and the pavement index. And so that's kind of the vision that I think we have been talking about, is not necessarily an interview with people, but more of like a voiceover as to, let's say, I always call it the Burgess Street Sewer Project, but the wastewater collection project that's happening right now. We could have maybe fly over the survey information that's happened. We could have the imagery of everything that's staged over there that you can see. Matt could be showing, like voicing over and showing a basic plan set for people, and just videos that last 90 seconds. And then just showing the community, kicking those out constantly. They don't have to be taken down because they'll be completed, and then that can go into the completed file. And people, I think, are more apt to look at those. And then in the most perfect world, Emily, what I was thinking was, how cool would it be if I wanted to start a business in the city of Yreka, and I could go to the website on our website and it just says how to start a business, and it would be what you needed to do. And so just as you're saying, because I know we have some information to provide here shortly about the applications, like how do you fill out an application? What information are we looking for here? So kind of how everybody now, I think everybody, if I'm going to change the oil in my lawnmower, I'm going on YouTube. You know, I'm going to watch someone else do it. I'm going to find the shortest video that's available. And so that's the dream situation, is that we get to the point where we can answer a lot of questions on how to kind of cut through the government red tape.
Great.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to open it up for public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Lorenzo Love. Is this YouTube channel up already? Is it running?
I can
Not
field that
YouTube,
one.
The Roku channel.
Oh, yeah, Dave, I'm not sure if you caught that. When will the apps be available on Roku and Amazon Fire Stick and Apple TV?
So the interesting thing about going from a 12-year-old system that to the brand new systems is that as the content was moved over, many of the information, a lot of the information didn't transfer, just the file name. We still don't have some of them don't even have titles or a description or a category. So right now I have my COS student. His name is Jack Buchelman. He is he and I are both right now working on updating the metadata. Once the metadata is updated, which should be a couple of months, then then we can start the process of creating those apps. Telview will create the apps, and once it's done, as we add more content in, the content will be updated automatically and do it that way. Then those apps will be available out there for the public.
Okay, thank you. Anything, Mr. Love, anything else, or okay?
Then just also let me point out some things. The servers, our content is still the content that was there before. We are in the process, and we're always looking for new content. Anyone that wants to create a show or a single show or a series of shows, we are always, anything that's going to benefit the county of Siskiyou and to inform the public or entertain or whatever it may be, whatever you want to do. We're always open up to put that up on the television channels. One of the great thing is people go, well, why do we want public access channels when we have YouTube and Facebook and all these other different platforms? Is that because we control that data? We control what goes up. We have the ability to bring it at 24/7, and we don't have an algorithm that prevents people from seeing things. So we control the data, we control the focus, that a whole 9 yards, and it gives you the opportunity to be able to talk to your own residents within the county and be able to show off your talents and to inform or to entertain, as much as you want. So that's the whole nice reason for having a public access channel.
Well, thank you, Dave. This is Councilman Baker, or Council Member Baker. And I really have appreciated this presentation. It's very exciting to think about different ways that we can partner with Siskiyou Media Council. And I'm already, some creativity is working in me. I'm thinking we could do videos on a day in the life of the finance manager, a day in the life of, the city manager, public works. Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
I completely agree. I mean, I think that is the goal that I would have, is that we fund something to that capability, and that ultimately it is fresh and exciting to come to the city website because you just don't know what you're going to see. I advocate for that as well.
They fell asleep in second 30.
Well, thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're going to move on to old business. Mr. Ledbetter.
Yeah, I think we'll jump right into information. I had some possible action items on the handout that I had on the very back. Let me get one of these to Skip as well. So just kind of some notes going through these meetings. And so the very first one, possible action items, add the virtual webmaster service with Civic Plus for more updating and current information added to the city website monthly. So the good news there is that we are currently now under contract for 10 hours per month with a virtual webmaster. There was a meeting, a one-off meeting that took place yesterday that our finance director will speak more about, but we are now scheduled for the second and fourth Thursdays, a recurring meeting. And with that news, the clerk position has been posted. I think it's been up for about a week. So probably still a month or 2 months until the person would be, we'd go through the interview. The position closes, we interview, we offer a position. That's probably going to take 8 weeks, to be completely honest with you. But that role will be very important. Whoever that person is will be engaging all of this because we kind of feel that they're going to become clerk duties. And so the first meeting that I was able to attend, we talked to the virtual webmaster. Obviously, we have this vision of redoing the website, but that comes, I believe, later when we're completed this task of the ad hoc comms meeting. And right now, I think we're just kind of really looking at how can we utilize our website in a better fashion. And so we have chosen 2 locations to really focus on. One of them, why don't I just kick it over to you, Emily, right now, instead of stealing your thunder here. Go for it.
Steal away. That's fine. I think we decided, Brett and I met with the webmaster yesterday or today? Today. It's been a long day. And we had shot off probably 6 different forms to the webmaster to have her create a fillable form online that would then be submitted for further processing for us. It's the first baby step of baby steps. I mean, ideally, we would love for them to be able to log in, calculate what the fee is, pay the fee all in the same motion, and have it show up in our system. But that's quite a ways off because we need IT stuff that Bretta knows way better than I do. Bridging that data between the 2 apps, making sure they're compatible and that it runs smoothly. But currently we had her do the business license application. And it has a lot of, if they say yes, then this box pops up. If it says no, it doesn't. So it forces them to fill out it completely. One of our bigger struggles for my staff is incomplete forms. So then they write the letter. Hey, you didn't do this right. Send it back to the customer. Customer gets it. They try to do it right again. They forgot to do this. Okay, we got to call them. Hey, you didn't fill this out. What is this? How do we? So we're trying to eliminate that by having these fields be mandatory so that they can't move on to the submit button until they fill out their phone number. It's little things like that that, as you can imagine, is kind of frustrating because you're like, well, how am I supposed to get a hold of you? Like this does not help. So we started off with those baby steps. We sent them a bunch of applications for reservations for the park, community center, community theater.
Oh, nice.
We're working on having her link that to the calendars that are already part of our modules so that people can go out and say, hey, I want to have Timmy's birthday on Tuesday in the afternoon. Oh, shoot, somebody already has it. Great, we'll move it to the next week. And they can fill out that whole form, and for right now, it'll be okay, I'm going to submit it. It's going to be tentative. Once they call in and give us their credit card number to make the payment, then we can hit it as final. And to the outward public, it wouldn't say Timmy's birthday party. It just would say reserved. So I thought it was a really good meeting. We've already come up with a number of different forms already that we're like, hey, let's shoot that over. Like, let's get that form done. New dog ownership. Like, hey, here's the dog's name, breed. It'll be submitted. It gives my staff time to enter it before they come in to pay the actual fee. You can make requirements of, you have to attach the vaccination record. Otherwise you can't submit it. I don't know how we verify that it's a vaccination record and not just a piece of paper, but hopefully it'll help eliminate some of this back and forth that we have. Melissa came up with a great idea today. She's like, why don't we put the utility billing application on there? Have them fill it out, attach their driver's license, their rental agreement, their escrow papers, whichever way they are. And then they submit them, and then we just put their setup fee on their next utility bill. It streamlines, we can set up steps that, for example, when you rent the community center, if you are having a no host bar, i.e. you're making your patrons pay for their alcohol, you have to have an ABC license. So they can attach that license, and that would get sent to our police department for review and approval. So a lot of really cool stuff that we can do with it. It has some limitations as of right now. We're looking into some things regarding, on the IT side, so that we have security measures that are in place, encryption that's needed. But it's a good start to where I think we want to get to.
Absolutely. I'd say it's a great use here starting out with this virtual webmaster. I think we talked about how our my dislike, I think everybody has a dislike for just 150 PDFs on somebody's website, right? And you just, oh, it's on there. The information's there, just go find it. So that's how we got on this, where we had these PDFs for applications. And so I think that's a great place for us to focus on, but ultimately we want to clean up even how we name our PDFs that need to stay on there. But then ultimately some PDFs maybe don't need to be on there. They can be collapsible information within the website itself, which then, in my opinion, makes it, as we move towards ADA accessible, that makes more sense to me. Certainly you can have your PDFs be ADA accessible, but I think removing as many PDFs as we can, having these fillable applications, then having the information collapsible on the website, I think makes more sense, where you should house your PDFs, certainly as we do, but sometimes I feel like that's the only place some of that information is housed, rather than having it built into the website itself, if that makes any sense. I'm not sure. So the other thing that's pretty cool that internally Emily has been working on with her staff, because they do events, is the calendar. And I guess I'll just segue and let you speak about that as well.
Yeah, we were looking at the calendar that's there. We took city council approved events and obtained their flyer for their event. It is on our citywide calendar. And if you click on that event, it actually pulls up their poster, their link to their information, whatever information was public on their flyer. We filled that in on that page to help keep that kind of fresh in everybody's minds. If you go to the events page, I do believe that it actually lists the upcoming events. And it has like a little picture of whatever their flyer is. So I encourage people to check that out.
Yeah, and the website will be reformatted. And right now we're just kind of working within the format that we currently have. And so we don't like the entire calendar look. We would prefer to have, if there's an event on the 5th, 9th, and 20th, that's all we want listed. And then just a real synopsis of the event, rather than a dot on a day of the calendar. It's still in that format, but we anticipate that'll be changing in the future. So right now we're just trying to utilize the site in a better fashion, because ultimately the same information will be reformatted anyway when we go through the update process. So
just trying to use some of the tools we already have in making that information more readily available.
Sweet. So as you work with the virtual webmaster, I would encourage you to keep track of how much time you really need them because of their, I mean, 10 hours a month really, to me, sounds like not enough time. So I hope that you guys would be willing to come to city council if we needed to make any adjustments to budgets or
She's actually
like that.
Yeah, she's actually really good. Even today, I think she said she gave us, hey, for this month, I've used 5.3 hours. She's like, I still got 2 days in August. And so I shot off 3 more forms to her today.
Wow.
So I'm like, if we can get those last 3 in and get our full 10 established, great. We want to do that. We want to keep that kind of flowing towards her. But yeah, we have practice ones right now that I'm gonna have our building person that does business licenses. I'm like, go in and pretend like you're submitting a form. As many different scenarios as you can come up with of different kinds of businesses and make sure it's compatible for what you need. I think even today, Retta, we had a couple on the fly that we were like, oh, that's not gonna work. We're gonna need to do an extra question in between. So that was kind of nice. So she's really good about her timekeeping and keeping us aware of, hey, this is how much time I've used, or which is
Good.
very
Good.
helpful.
Yeah. Thank you. Do we have any public comment? Anything else about the updating of the website?
Yeah, I think we're appreciative of your perspective on the hours and usage and understanding of how complicated some things may be, but we currently are just trying to dip our toe in the water. I think, I look back 4 years ago when Retta was, I don't know, had 3 different department head titles, and one of them was IT. And so Retta has an IT background from the Bay Area, working with companies and, computer systems and websites and all that. But it's unfair to her to continue to kind of stand things up. And so this is a great opportunity for the virtual webmaster to kind of teach us on some things that we can literally just do ourselves, that we don't need that person to accommodate. And so definitely excited for that clerk position to kind of be the point person on all of this in the future, and ultimately just allow us to utilize our own service in a better fashion than we currently do.
Thank you. So are we on item C? The development of the mission statement, objectives and timelines?
Yeah, I have a couple more past items I can just go over real quick,
Okay.
if you don't mind, and then we can jump to that one. I will take advantage of Skip that's in the audience today. I did reach out to Skip on trying to do op-eds, but unfortunately, I don't know if you have a better mechanism for that, or maybe a better contact, or I wasn't able to get a response back from Siskiyou Daily News. Okay, perfect. Yeah, our goal, and actually I was thinking about it too. And I mean, ideally it would be the newspaper, but I was also thinking, depending on the last time we met, you had mentioned increasing the newsletter frequency to monthly. And so, I don't know, an op-ed would be ideal in my opinion, but also we hypothetically could be doing an op-ed on the grapevine. So I think we could be doing, right. Yeah, I don't know if anyone, hypothetically we could be stuffing the utility bill with kind of an update, a generalized update. So, but I do think that we already kind of do that. So I think that the newspaper is the most ideal location for that.
Sorry, I was just gonna add to that. We did, when we started the newsletter, we did publish monthly. And then we started cutting back just for the time to print and prepare formally. But we always have the opportunity in a mailing to insert a plain sheet. It doesn't take that much effort to do a 8.5 by 11 plain sheet information or third sheet informational insert on a less formal basis.
That's a great point. I mean, I think it is pretty formal, pretty nice stock,
Yeah.
that quarterly one that goes out, where we could have a more simplistic update intermittently as we see necessary, which I'm kind of beginning to think that that's a great opportunity. And I know it's been pointed out by some members in the audience here, and it is on my list that we will basically post the newsletter on the Grapevine as soon as it's printed and ready to get mailed out, just because some folks that live in the community, they don't get the newsletter because they
Right.
don't pay the utility bill. So I'm all for kind of doing something more informal through that process, because I think that most people still, and this is what we're trying to solve, they don't know how busy we are. They don't know how many things we're doing. If they are engaged, they're engaged on what item and may not know of some other things that are happening in the city. So I would be completely for, I don't know, maybe a couple newsletters a year that just talk about everything that's coming in the summer for all the work that happens in public works, and then all the planning that we're doing on future projects.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea of a less formal and newsletter. And just going out whenever you feel it's necessary. I mean, it would be, great to have just a little bit of information from the Public Works Director about the Burgess Street project, or the paving project that's going to happen on South Oregon Street. I mean, just to keep it fresh in people's minds, as well as to remind people that, yeah, we do have a lot of work that we're doing.
Mhm.
And, I'm just thinking, you can do just a general information piece. Mr. Ledbetter, I'm thinking letters from Ledbetter.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, I think that's what people want everywhere.
Yeah. Additions from Aldrich.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty much it, unless we wanted to go over any of the other possible action items. I'll just continue to update those action items. And I think some of them we're moving on, right? The virtual webmaster, we got that solidified. We're having those meetings now twice a month. We are in talks then, moving on to the third bullet point on possible action items is essentially we needed that virtual webmaster, I think, to at least drive the conversation, or have them in our arsenal of folks to help us then transition to the upgraded website. We looked at a couple different websites, Miramar and Ocala, Florida websites that we both like. A dream scenario, and this is years, I think, is building out the GIS data for public consumption, similar to Shasta Lake City. That's not going to come as quickly as the other stuff, but that's something I think we're building capacity at the possibility of doing here over the next 5 years. We met or heard from Dave on the media council. So, the media council has kind of come back up from the ashes. It's a high need here, but, they've just barely gotten the 2 servers back online. They got funding for both of those. So now those are online. Even if things don't work out with SMC, I mean, I think that there are other options. We would prefer to use SMC, but there's also 22nd Avenue Broadcasting, I believe, that Discover Siskiyou uses. They use them for Night of Lights. Yeah, I think they do like the whole pre-production of the city council meetings and the city council meetings themselves. So there's multiple angles. You always see the face of the person speaking. So I think there's other options. I think we'd like to stick with SMC because they're kind of growing at the moment and they house our personal TV station. So, and then the only other note is, yes, we will delete the city Twitter or Twitter X account, and just stick to the Grapevine Facebook and driving people to the updated website. So just to, I guess, touch and maybe discuss or flesh out, we just continue to work on this piece of paper, the Yreka communication meeting paper, and I just continue to update it through this process. And so the goal I have now written as, and believe me, this is extremely malleable. So educate the city of Yreka public on city procedures and policies to increase awareness and communication on the many projects the city of Yreka is currently working on. That's the latest rendition from some notes I had at the last meeting. But I think we should continue to discuss what are objectives of this meeting. What are the outcomes that we're seeking, which are pretty much the possible action items list. Are there more? I have now, newsletter, increased frequency to monthly, post on Facebook as well as mail. Less formal newsletter, public works projects, Ringy project, letters from Ledbetter, which I like. So just kind of leave that open-ended to the public and to the staff. What are some of the other action items you'd like to see come out of this ad hoc meeting? And does there need to be some discussion and more changes to this goal of ours? For me, the goal of the comms meeting is really finding some focus around a complete upgrade and better use of the website. I think that's where we've all landed, that ultimately it's stale. It's not getting updated as much henceforth. Now we have started that process. It can definitely, we've already paid for an upgrade or a new look. We haven't incorporated that yet. But I think when I've talked in this meeting, my goal is to utilize Facebook and the grapevine to drive people back to the website where they can see on the front page the news and calendar of what's going on in the city. And if you were only to go to that site once a month, it would be different every single time you went there, just because there would be updated news and there would be updated events that were taking place. So I know we have different mechanisms, but I think we're kind of really focusing in now on just a more increased management and use of the website. That's kind of how I'm seeing things shape up. But
I think that's should be our number one objective. Along with educating the public just about, and I think this fits into the website and to the videos that we've talked about, just about what their local government does. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I know you had talked about it, or we keep talking about these, a day in the life of Emily behind the scenes. But I mean, that is where I would like to see this thing go, is to the point where Siskiyou Media Council, we were in a contract with them and we were paying them then to not only do all these videos, but ultimately work with a staff member to go work on interviewing staff members and interviewing business owners in the community, where we could have, I always use Zephyr because that's where I end up going constantly, but interviewing Deb at Zephyr and talking about her business, interviewing Tammy down Minor Street and talking about the flowers that she cares about, and just getting more information so that people, I think that's what people want in rural communities such as ours. They want to feel a part of the community.
Yes.
And so I think by having, quite frankly, Matt Bray's got a lot of history and the Bray family has a lot of history, but I mean, I think people want to know about people in our community. And so even just having little vignettes of who our city council members are, who our employees are, and what are some of the businesses in the community that we can showcase.
Valerie here. What about having like little videos with the firemen, volunteer firemen who need to be paid? It means we're talking about putting that on the ballot and how important it is and what they go through. You know, it would be good for people to understand and have an education of that.
That is an excellent segue into another item, one of the many items that Assistant City Manager Retta Hogan works on. So we do have a timeline proposed here for this hypothetical 2024 sales tax measure. And so part of that will be exactly that, an educational campaign that we are currently working on with internally. We have scheduled, we met with Chief Lemos, Retta and I did, and we're scheduled, I believe, for September 7th, I want to say, an ad hoc meeting where we are bringing a multitude of people together that we think are very key people in educating the public, and we will be educating them at that meeting. There'll be some South Yreka fire chief, the regional fire chief for CAL FIRE, the retired regional fire chief for CAL FIRE, the Montague/Grenada fire chief, who also works for the state OES, will all be at this meeting, and we're going to start that exact process. So thank you for pointing that out, because we think that that's imperative as well to provide that information for the community. But yes, let's just imagine we weren't doing that hypothetical sales tax. We would be looking at doing something like that in a year or 2 years with the police department, with Luna, with a day in the life of a firefighter or EMT that works for the city of Yreka. But to your point, that is a very important ballot initiative that we anticipate coming. It's a very important issue in the community that we don't think people are completely aware of, that we have a volunteer fire department. And so we are currently working on that exact education campaign. And we have a consultant that will take our information and create really pretty mailers and PowerPoints and educational information that we will distribute to the public. So actually, on that note, if you don't mind, it'll just take me about 5 minutes before we end the meeting. I know. Just long-winded, Ledbetter. I'm just going to go through real quick. I'm just going to tell you hypothetically what we currently have. I mean, this was just sent over today, just hours ago. So this is kind of an outline, the proposed outline for communication. So September 2023, brief council members on poll results and recommendations, brief fire and police leaders on poll results and recommendations. Civic Mike works with city to draft poll-based informational messaging for staff, community members, and local stakeholders regarding city's public safety programs and increased demand for emergency medical response and other services. We'll get the key points, the fact sheet, the PowerPoint presentation, provide content for the city website, content for city's existing communication channels, create a customized web page for the project on civicmike.com, create online community survey, post online survey to city and Civic Mike web page, include specialized mapping and graphics on civicmike.com, such as sample maps showing community participation in the survey, create an email list of community members who have expressed interest in receiving updates. October, November of 23, begin public outreach to community organizations, businesses, local officials, meetings and presentations with influential groups, community leaders, and individuals. December 23, January 24, city staff, city attorney, and Civic Mike work together to develop internal first draft of sales tax ordinance and resolution. Continue public outreach. February and March of 24, write, design, and send first informational mailer to all registered voters outlining city needs, including increased demand for emergency medical response, fire safety prevention, introducing the need for local funding and encouraging feedback regarding potential projects to be funded. April, May of 24, analyze community feedback, refine messages and plan based on community feedback, finalize resolution and ordinance, continue public outreach. June, July of 24, city council meeting, council adopts resolution calling for election and requests consolidation with county. Deliver adopted resolution to county register of voters with final ordinance language and ballot question. Civic Mike updates messaging content for website based on final council approved proposed ballot measure. August, September of 24, send second informational mailer to all registered voters announcing council action to place measure on the November 24 ballot, sharing results of community online survey, explaining ballot measure, and providing voter information. And so we're definitely taking what Don Marie pointed out very seriously here with this devising a strategy. This is the proposed strategy at the moment, but we're also working with the hired engineer and design consultant that we have for the fire hall on preparing information there as well, where we want to be able to show visuals on what the new proposed fire hall would look like through this educational campaign as well. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty exciting. I am just, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm just very impressed with the vision that the city has, the leadership of the city. I think that it's absolutely critical to educate the public on the needs of the fire department. And we haven't seen that in the past with ballot measures for the city and for the county as well. It's like, I mean, people just, where did this come from? So if we have done our job really well, Mr. Ledbetter, the county clerk's office will not receive any phone calls in October going, what is this measure that's on the ballot? I haven't heard anything about it.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody would know better than you, those fielding those questions. And I mean, I just go back and I say it whenever there's a compliment thrown in this direction, is that ultimately we have a new folks like myself and Emily have been onboarded in the last 2.5 years at the city. John, Juliana are part of that group. And then we have some key members of the past, Matt and Retta. And I think right now, every time we think we have a good idea and we break out of a meeting and we're headed in that direction, I get an email from Retta, and it's just a chain of emails from, let's say, 2007 or 2008 when she had that same idea and was shot down. So I think we continue to move in a very positive direction with just a very robust staff that is quite frankly uncommon, definitely uncommon in the government sector.
Well, thank you. Before I adjourn the meeting, do I have any final public comment? Okay. Staff? All right. Well, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 5:05.